Hey, what is going on guys, Danny here, hope you've all been doing well, and in this video I want to do a discussion and give you guys my thoughts about the reviews and benchmarks of the RX 480. This is a video that I wanted to put out last week, but I just didn't have the time to do so. I actually was in the midst of doing this video last week, but I just got so busy with work, I had actually absolutely no time this past week. I'm sure many of you guys have noticed I haven't been putting out as much videos lately, and that's mostly due to my schedule, and on top of that I ended up becoming sick. But I'm definitely going to try my best to start putting out some material for you guys. So this will be a start to a series that I'm interested in doing called Danny's Discussions, where I talk about computer hardware related news, rumors, gaming news, and technology, basically anything of interest really. So let me know what you guys think, leave your feedback down below in the comment section, and if you want me to keep making videos like this in the future, then hit that like button. And if you don't actually like it, then dislike it by all means. Oh, and make sure you're subbed if you haven't already done so. Alright, so moving on to the content of interest here, the RX 480. AMD had unveiled this card at their press conference during Computex 2016, but had an NDA in effect, or a non-disclosure agreement. But on June 29th, they had finally lifted the NDA, which allowed tech sites, tech vloggers, and reviewers to get out the reviews of the card and show us their benchmarks. I won't show you guys any benchmarks specifically from anywhere. There are tons of reviews out there. Digital Foundries, Tom's Hardware, AnonTech, Hardware Unboxed, so many more. All have great informative and in-depth reviews of the card. So you guys can go and look at reviews from whoever you prefer. I'm sure many of you guys have probably done that by now. So from most of the benchmarks that I saw, the performance that the new RX 480 had to offer was around the GTX 970 and an R9 390. Now this made a lot of people happy, and this made a lot of people unhappy or disappointed. For the folks out there that are satisfied with its performance, great, you can pick up the card whenever you get the chance. That's easier said than done though, just cause it's so hard to find it in stock anywhere at the moment, especially if you live outside the US. So there's a few reasons why there were a considerable amount of people within the community who found the 480's performance to be unappealing. One reason is that prior to the NDA being lifted, there were sites such as WCCF Tech, Video Cards, and many other Chinese tech blog websites that had been posting rumors and leaks. The rumors and supposed leaks consisted of claims that the RX 480 would offer R9 Fury or GTX 980 level performance. Another reason why I believe people got overhyped was by the way AMD was marketing its new Polaris 10 architecture, saying things like 2.8 times the performance per watt. The jump to the new 14nm FinFET process really deluded people into thinking that they were going to make a massive performance leap. I mean, don't get me wrong, this card is offering great performance over its predecessor. What you guys need to remember is that AMD never specifically said that they were going to take the RX 480 and beat out, say, the 390X or Fury. All AMD said that they were going to do was deliver VR level performance to the mainstream audience with an affordable price point, and they did deliver on that. How? Well, we all know that the 480 offers performance along the lines of a 970 or 390, and those cards when released retailed for around $330, $340, or $350, whereas the RX 480 is just $200 or starting at $200 for the 4GB model and is around $240 for the 8GB model. The price to performance here is still very good, and now the mainstream audience can have that sweet experience of maxing out games at 1080p and achieving 60 plus FPS. That's it. They have fulfilled what they had set out to do, so I for one am very happy with the performance it yielded, and it doesn't really make sense to me why there are so many who got upset. It was never targeted to the high end, so it was wrong to just start escalating its performance without even seeing some real world benchmarks. And for the people that own 290s, 390Xs, and even 980s and sold their cards for the 480, what were you guys thinking, man? You thought you could replace those cards, those high-end cards, with a mid-range card? Why? If they feel like they're at a loss, then there is really no one to blame but themselves. Believe it or not, I even saw a post on a forum about an individual who sold their Fury X for the 480. I mean, come on, facepalm, dude. For the people that have been following me, you guys know that I said I had no interest in replacing my 390 with the RX 480. Even if it did offer performance equal to a 980, I couldn't just justify trying to sell my card for what would be a minimal upgrade for me. This card wasn't targeted for that market anyways, as I mentioned before. This card is targeted to the people who own or are still running that is a 380X or below. So we're talking cards such as the 960, 270X, and GTX 750 Ti's. The RX 480 would be a perfect upgrade for those folks. For people who are in a similar situation to me and want to upgrade, you've got the new 1070 and 1080 from Nvidia, and if you're interested in the red team, then wait for Vega. That's basically been my plan all along. While looking a bit more in depth of its performance, we see that the RX 480 beat out the 970 in some titles and even the 390, and sometimes those roles are reversed. It really all depends on the game. DirectX 11 performance is below a 970 for now, but that's no surprise considering AMD's track record with those titles hasn't been all that great. In DirectX 12 we really see the card shine. And hey, if you're someone that was considering getting a GTX 970, since now that the new gen cards are out and you thought you could get it for a low price, unless the card is super cheap, then definitely go for it. But other than that, I would recommend picking up a 480 for a few obvious reasons here. One, the card is newer, so newer tech and features. It offers better DirectX 12 performance. You'll get a longer warranty on it, and obviously you get a full 4 GB of VRAM, or 8 GB of VRAM versus 3.5. The other thing that you guys have to remember is that wait for the drivers to mature up a bit. We've seen this trend from AMD cards where in the long run they actually start to perform better with better drivers. So moving aside from the whole performance aspect of the card, something really concerning that was found with the card, or at least the reference card specifically, was that they seem to be drawing more power than its rated TDP, and when overclocked that discrepancy would increase by an even more considerable amount. So this started quite the controversy, as stated from sites such as Tom's Hardware, that the card was drawing 160 watts or even 170 watts. Keep in mind that the card was rated at 150 watts TDP. The other issue is that the testers said that they noticed was the card was drawing a lot more power from its PCIe specified power draw rating. Now this is quite concerning and big if AMD didn't fix this, because they would have been in quite a bit of trouble. Tom's Hardware stated that they found that the card was pulling substantially more than 75 watts from the motherboard, and was later on confirmed by other sites. Now what's really concerning here is that the fact that we aren't talking about spikes over 75 watts, we're talking about a sustained power drop over 75 watts, which can potentially cause damage to your motherboard. I will quote this from the original forum post. According to the licensing contract for the spec, if they do not fix this within 3 months, AMD will not be able to call the card a PCI Express card. I'll have the links in the video description down below so you guys can read all about it yourselves, and if you're considering picking up an RX 480, then I highly urge you to read up on this. So apparently one of ways to mitigate this issue is to alter the PCB boards to have an 8-pin power connector and draw more power from there. However, just recently AMD released a driver update for the card which not only fixed power draw issues, but also slightly boosted performance. So good on AMD for fixing this problem, and it was also great to see that this issue wasn't as big as so many people made it seem. So with all that said, it's pretty much safe to say that you can buy a reference card with confidence, if you really wish to do so. However, if you still have your doubts, the add-in board partners will be coming out with their cards soon. I've seen some pictures of the Sapphire Nitro, the MSI Gaming X, and Power Color Devil 13. And those cards really look nice. They have some nice beefy coolers on them, and what's also great is that they have an 8-pin power connector. So yeah guys, that pretty much wraps up this video about my thoughts about the RX 480. Lots of interesting stuff here, and I'll definitely be looking forward to the progress of how this card works out for people in the long run. Thank you guys so much for your time, take care, and have a good one.